Hi, welcome to Future Technos today. We're diving into something that I think a lot of gamers will find exciting. Not the most expensive laptop out there, not a crazy flagship with specs that cost more than a used car, but a machine that most people can actually consider buying. This is the Lenovo Legion 5i, a gaming laptop that might just hit the sweet spot between performance, design, and value. When we talk about gaming laptops, it's easy to get distracted by the flashy ones. The ones with glowing lights, aggressive designs, and sky-high prices. But let's be real. Most of us don't want to drop several $1,000s on a single laptop. That's where mid-range devices like the Legion 5i step in. They try to balance affordability with power. And honestly, Lenovo has been pretty good at doing that in recent years. The Legion series has built a reputation as one of the most reliable choices for gamers who want solid performance without going broke. So let's break it all down. The design, the build, the ports, the performance, the noise, and of course, the value. By the end of this review, you'll know if the Legion 5i is the laptop you should buy in 2024. First, the design. If you're looking for a laptop that screams, "I'm a gamer," with glowing lights and neon accents, this isn't it. And I mean that as a good thing. The Legion 5i looks subtle. Some might even call it boring, but in a clean way. The body is mostly plastic, but it feels solid in the hand. The lid is aluminum, which gives it a touch of durability and premium feel. When you press down on the keyboard area, there's a little bit of flex. Not too much, just enough to remind you this isn't a $2,000 flagship. But overall, the build quality is impressive. It doesn't feel cheap, and it can definitely handle daily use without issues. What I also like is how Lenovo avoids making this laptop look overly flashy. If you bring it into an office, no one will stare at you. It doesn't scream gamer vibes. It just looks like a sleek, slightly chunky laptop. And that makes it versatile. You can use it for work, for study, and then come home and crank up your favorite games without feeling like you need a second device. Now let's talk about ports and connectivity. Lenovo has always been generous here, and the Legion 5i is no exception. But they made some changes compared to last year's model, and not all of them are perfect. Previously, most of the ports were on the back. Nice and clean. This year, Lenovo scattered them around the sides. On the left, you get a USB-A 3.2 Gen 1 and two USB-C 3.2 Gen 2s. The front USB-C even supports power delivery. On the right, you find a gigabit Ethernet jack, two more USB-A ports, and a microSD card reader. And on the back, it's mostly vents, with the power connector and HDMI 2.1. Now, this is a strong selection overall. Ethernet is a great addition for gamers. HDMI 2.1 means you can easily connect to high-refresh external monitors or TVs, but the placement could be better. Having multiple USB-A ports on the right side means if you plug in a mouse and an external drive, your setup could feel cluttered. And honestly, the microSD card reader feels unnecessary. It's slow and not very useful for most gamers. On the wireless side, things are smooth. You get modern Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so no complaints there. Transfers are fast and stable. The webcam, however, is just basic, nothing fancy. It works fine for video calls, but don't expect to stream on Twitch with it. Upgradability is another strong point. Lenovo makes it relatively easy to open up the laptop. Inside, you can access 2 RAM slots and 2 NVMe slots for storage. Both the Wi-Fi card and the battery are replaceable too. That means you can keep this laptop running for years if you decide to upgrade later. It's a big plus for longevity. Now, onto the keyboard and touchpad. Lenovo is known for making good keyboards, and this one doesn't disappoint. Key travel is 1.5 millimeters, which feels satisfying. You get a nice tactile click and a defined pressure point. Typing feels comfortable, and gaming feels responsive. The model I tested came with white backlighting, but you can also configure it with 4-zone RGB if you want more flair. The touchpad is decent. Nothing special, but accurate enough for daily use. The clicks are a bit mushy, but honestly, most gamers will use an external mouse anyway. The display is one of the highlights. It's a 16-inch QHD+ panel with a 240 Hz refresh rate. That's a sweet spot for gaming. You get sharp resolution and buttery smooth refresh. Brightness is above average, so it looks good even in well-lit rooms. Contrast is fine. And while the color coverage isn't the widest out there, it's still more than enough for games and media. Motion handling is excellent, which is what really matters here. Fast shooters look sharp and smooth. This screen is well matched for the RTX 4060 inside. Speaking of performance, let's get into the real fun. This laptop is powered by Intel's Core i7 14650HX. It's part of the Raptor Lake refresh lineup. Paired with it is the RTX 4060 running at up to 115 watts. Add in 16GB of RAM and a 1TB SSD, and you've got a strong mid-range setup. Day-to-day use feels snappy. Apps open fast. Browsing, streaming, multitasking, no problem. The SSD is quick, too, though it can throttle under heavy stress tests. But honestly, you won't notice it in normal use. Now, Lenovo gives you 3 performance modes through their Vantage software. Performance mode unlocks the full potential of the CPU and GPU but cranks up the fans. Quiet mode keeps things cool and calm but sacrifices frames. Balanced sits in the middle. In testing, performance mode really shows what this machine can do. The CPU can draw up to 140 watts at peak before settling down to around 100 watts. That means strong sustained performance in demanding tasks. In gaming benchmarks, the RTX 4060 performs really well. In synthetic tests like 3D Mark, it ranks among the fastest 4060 laptops available. Real-world gaming tells the same story. At 1080p, you can easily crush most titles with high or ultra settings. Competitive shooters like CS2, Valorant, or Apex Legends run at hundreds of frames per second, making full use of the 240 Hz screen. Even more demanding AAA games like Cyberpunk 2077 or Hogwarts Legacy are playable at high settings in QHD+, and if the frame rate drops, you have DLSS and frame generation to bring it back up smoothly. That's a huge win for this GPU. Of course, with great performance comes great fan noise. And yeah, the Legion 5i is loud. There's no sugarcoating it. Under heavy load, the fans ramp up to a noticeable level. If you're wearing headphones, you'll be fine. But if you like to game with speakers, you'll definitely hear it. The good news is that temperatures stay well under control. Lenovo could have dialed back the fans a bit and allowed temps to rise slightly, but they chose to prioritize cooling. Battery life is another surprise. Gaming laptops usually don't last long unplugged, especially with powerful CPUs. But the Legion 5i manages around 7.5 hours with light use, like browsing and streaming. That's impressive for this category. Of course, once you start gaming, expect much less. But for day-to-day tasks, this laptop won't die on you too quickly. So where does that leave us? The Lenovo Legion 5i isn't perfect. The port placement could be better. The fan noise is definitely on the louder side, and the plastic build won't wow anyone. But when you look at the bigger picture, this laptop delivers where it matters most. Strong gaming performance, a great screen, a comfortable keyboard, and solid battery life for its class. All at a price that won't destroy your wallet. If you're in the market for a gaming laptop in 2024 and you don't want to overspend, the Legion 5i is a serious contender. It's subtle in design, powerful under the hood, and practical enough to be your daily driver for both work and play.